the biggest challenges of managing a fleet of trucks, tractor-trailers, and material handling equipment? Hassling with maintenance, repair, and vehicle breakdown. Transervice's dedicated contract maintenance service, DCM, takes that hassle away. We maintain your fleet, no matter what the configuration, to the highest standards, while giving you the greatest cost control. We offer preventative maintenance executed to maximum utilization, equipment life, and necessary repairs, all tracked by a state-of-the-art paperless computerized system. Assistance with equipment engineering, configuration, including new engine technology, and onboard computers for your fleet, as well as dedicated fleet contract maintenance. Dedicated on-site service facilities staffed with management and certified maintenance technicians, inventories of parts, tires, and fluids, and all necessary shop equipment, diagnostic tools, and technology. Supporting services such as equipment inspections and assistance with meeting regulatory requirements, DOT, OSHA, EPA. Contact us today to learn about our turnkey contract maintenance solutions. It's all about the experience, yours and ours.
Have you seen my kick-ass subscription box anywhere? Oh, there it is.
Hello everyone and welcome to Bedane TV's coverage of the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series. Tonight we are live, virtually of course, from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at the 4 Mile Road Course, Road America. I'm Kevin England and I'm happy to say that Tim Terry is back with us. But before I turn to Tim, a quick shout out for our producer Paul Showtime Strickland, who's in the booth, and he's got his work cut out for him tonight because Tim, it's going to be 14 turns and 26 laps of mayhem.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting as we get ready to go racing. Quick little pace lap up from 14, and Adam Gilliland and Kevin King are going to lead us up the hill and up to the green flag for this Transervice Cup Series race. And Gilliland going to be on the hammer here, and Kevin, quickly, we're underway, and Adam did not get going there.
Little wiggle for him, and of course the biggest problem we're going to have is right here down in turn 1 on the start. Everybody's going to have to be very careful coming into this corner, not overdrive the corner and run over the car in front of you.
We almost had that problem on the start with Daniel Faulkingham trying to get by Adam Gilliland and giving him a shot to get going. And Gilliland now under fire from Justin Fuller, along with the Lobster 207 number 39 of Faulkingham, as they continue to battle almost a moment there between Fuller and the 39.
Come down underneath the Sargento Bridge is King out front. He's got about 2 car lengths coming down the hill here to the left-hand turn. And right behind him, Adam Gilliland, Justin Fuller tuck on the brakes, turn hard left, come up here through the hill to another hard left. As it is Faulkingham to the outside trying to get a move on Josh Parker.
And you saw that little move on your screen there. Tommy Ryan nearly had a moment, nearly put himself off the racetrack, lost a couple of positions, but there's a driver that is sitting on the cut line when it comes to points when you make those drops. Kevin, Tommy Ryan cannot afford a bad night here in the next 8 races, needs to get himself in a position to try to make the Transervice Cup Series playoffs. We look back up to the 37 of Elliott Henderson. There's a driver on the outside looking in when it comes to that bubble. There's Mike Kelly as well. Some drivers on the outside looking in when it comes to the drop races factored in, Kevin. And with Kyle Taraska, Kevin Brown, and David Comstock not here tonight, that'll probably help the effort of guys like Tommy Ryan, Richard Beasley, Elliot Henderson, Scott Simley, and the rest. So keep your eye on those drivers the next few races. There's a battle within a battle. The top drivers up in front are close for about second or so or third or so on back, and then you've got the mess in the middle of the field.
Kevin King makes that right-hand corner over there on turn number 14, comes back to the front straightaway. He's going to lead lap number 1 in command. And, you know, so far, Tim, this series has looked very similar to 2020 with full-time winners being Faulkingham and Gilliland. Kevin King won at Sonoma, and here we're at a road course. Is he going to become another two-time winner?
He may very well do so, as Kevin King is always good on these road courses, and especially is able to discipline himself throughout. We mentioned in Sonoma that you have to hit your marks, and we're seeing that right now with Kevin King as you're right on board with the driver of the team number 88. And obviously early in this race, there's going to be a pit stop somewhere throughout, but just trying to hit your marks as he's doing right now. But he's got Adam Gilliland in behind, and Adam is a road course guy himself. He knows how to get around these places, so as long as he can keep touch with the 88, you know it's going to be a race.
The hill to the bridge, going to make the quick left after they pass through the Corvette Bridge, and right now seems pretty calm. Everybody kind of got single file tucked in. We see one car, Doy Woods, off to the side there, and I believe he's going to tow it back into pit road as King goes through the left and heads over to the carousel here coming underneath the Speedville Bridge. We see Mike Kelly is off.
Yeah, Mike Kelly is off. We talked about Doy Woods being off the racetrack. Where Doy went off was about the point where Tommy Ryan kind of had his moment on lap number 1, was able to keep forward momentum in that race car. You see EJ O'Rourke, great qualifying effort for the 41 on a road course, P5. And trying to hang around that top 5 mark, but he's under fire and trying to put pressure again on Parker. And here comes Faulkingham down to the inside, trying to make that move work, but EJ going to have that advantage on the next corner, but he's not going to be able to hold it as Faulkingham moves up 1.
For the racetrack, looking at Bentley Glazer. First start for him, I believe, this season. Glazer over there in the Bill Mitchell bend, heading towards turn number 14, currently in that 15th position. Just kind of pacing himself early on here at Road America. It is 26 laps, the distance, and as you said a little bit earlier, Tim, we know they're going to have to make one pit stop. I think from a strategy standpoint, they're probably going to split the race in half, wouldn't you think?
You'd almost have to believe that. At 13, you can go comfortably in these cup cars. So I'm interested to see what they can do. If anybody does pit early, if we do see somebody pit early, they might be near the back of the field to try to leapfrog a little bit of strategy as Faulkingham goes after Parker for position number 4, and Faulkingham trying to make light work of the number 23 as he makes the way past on the straightaway and will clear Parker before the corner. I would almost say it's 13, but you really have to pace yourself here to make sure you don't burn your tires up as EJ O'Rourke now goes after the 23.
Turn 5 up the hill to turn number 6. Faulkingham pulls out a little bit. Parker's still right there. EJ O'Rourke looking for the opportunity, and you've got Fuller off on the right-hand side. He's going to come back to the racetrack, but he's going to lose 3 positions in the play. And up front, little bit of a pressure starting to mount. Adam Gilliland tucking in behind the 88, Kevin King.
Just keeping him honest right now. If you're Kevin King, you kind of like the 1 second or so gap or 3/4 of a second back to Adam Gilliland. There's not really a whole lot of pressure. They've made about 2.5 seconds on what is now 3rd place Daniel Faulkingham. Great little shot of the gap back to position number 3, and then 4th, 5th, 6th on back is a nice little battle as well. But these guys doing a great job managing this race early. Is some drivers doing a little bit better than others. We mentioned Doy Woods had his off a little bit earlier on. He still sits in the pit area, and then there's a few that are struggling. I see Bobby Wetzel back there. I don't think he's got a hood on that race car. So there's a few at the back that are struggling, but these guys up front putting on a show.
Yeah, Wetzel slides one more time, trying to keep it. You got to be on the pavement, Bobby. That's just the advice that's coming across his radio, and he's going to muster it back up and keep going. I'll tell you what, I like this racetrack to race from the context of, say, Coda. Coda was complicated. This track seems to be a little more forgiving, a little better designed for these race cars, but it doesn't mean, Tim, that it's easy to get around here.
No, definitely not. This place, you have to be up on the wheel every single lap you're around here, and especially with these drivers that are in this Transervice Cup Series on the different agendas that we mentioned a little bit earlier. We got drivers that are trying to win and get into the playoffs the easy way. Got some drivers like Kevin King up in front. He's already won, Kevin, but he's outside the top 20 in points. He needs to make, I believe it's 56 points up when you factor in those drops to get to the top 20. 8 races. With the way Kevin is running, it would seem easy on paper, but it may not be as easy as one would think, as Byron Daly is under fire from the 41 of E.J. O'Rourke and trying to pick up that one position. And Byron, there's a driver with a win, comfortably in when it comes to points. So just trying to manage and pick up some good finishes here to keep himself in contention with that one win to put himself in the playoffs from 8 races time here.
Yeah, E.J. O'Rourke just trying to get back to his rhythm. Turn 3 went a little bit high. Fuller was able to drop underneath, and then as they came through to 5 and 6, he was unable to hold the car down, got a little loose. That allowed Byron Daly to slip by. Now Fuller applying the pressure to Josh Parker, as out in front of them, Daniel Faulkingham has open racetrack, and he's putting down some good laps trying to track down Kevin King out front and Adam Gilliland running second.
And Daniel Faulkingham, after that start that he had, I'm sure Daniel's not happy with the way the start went, as he was behind Adam Gilliland and then kind of got put behind the 8 ball with a couple of other race cars making their way past. And you can keep an eye on where your favorite driver is running on the track map that we have on the right-hand side of the screen. But Faulkingham doing a great job trying to manage this and trying to reset his sights on those drivers in front of him, currently running in position number 3.
Yeah, Randy Yoakum went off over there right near where you go into turn number 8 out into the gravel, but he was able to get that car righted and comes back through. I think he lost about 3 or 4 positions in that number 8, but didn't hit anything. And I guess that's kind of the key. If you're going to go off, you just got to make sure you don't hit any of those concrete barriers and you live to tell the tale. Again, one of the key things you need to do here, Tim, is just hit your braking points. We heard Kevin King talk about how he drove Sonoma, slowed the car down, make sure he eased through the corner and drove off hard. And it really helped his lap times. He talked about how that improved, and you could see that applies just as clearly here at Road America.
And you see Adam Gilliland get a little aggressive when it came to the braking point right there and trying to get that time up on Kevin King. And it looks like under those heavy braking zones that Adam is a little more aggressive than Kevin is. Kevin just seems to get off the corner just a little bit better and is able to launch down those straightaways just a wee bit better than the personal comfort number 81. And they continue to battle it out for that position. You look back on some of those wide shots like that, there's Daniel Faulkingham right there. And then in behind Daniel, there's another 2 seconds or so back to the battle between Josh Parker and Justin Fuller. And Fuller is onto the attack. And you remember back to earlier in the season, these 2 drivers don't necessarily like each other, so keep your eye on that battle for 4th as we work on it.
Doug Roth over in the gravel over there in turn number 5. That is a difficult turn. You come down, and I'm going to say sounds really strange, but you look for the porta potty on the right. You got to be on the brakes before you get down that hill. Otherwise, you're going to slide off down the other end. It was neat, Tim, watching the actual race on TV when they came down there. The porta potty was there. I was so excited to see the marker.
And speaking of the marker, there's Trey Edson on your screen, and he's got E.J. O'Rourke right in behind. And there's a battle in between 2 drivers that know each other well. E.J., I don't want to say Kevin overachieved on his qualifying effort, but qualified 5th. Great effort for the 41 team. There's a driver that's on the good side of the cut line when it comes to the playoff points. And Trey obviously already has a win, trying to get that championship one more time. And 2 great battles there. But yes, iRacing's done a phenomenal job with this racetrack. Get to see everything, where it is and where it's laid out on this racetrack. And obviously we got to see it with the NASCAR Cup Series and the Xfinity Series on Saturday and Sundays. So great replication here on iRacing, and we're getting to see some great racing.
We see some of these drivers that show prowess day in and day out every week here in SIM500, and we see that their Achilles heel is possibly the road courses. I just watched Mike Kelly and the two drive off over there in the carousel, lost 3 positions. He's currently running, I think, somewhere about 20th, 22nd, and I just don't see good results so far for the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. Usually at this point he's coming through, and we just saw the 5 car jump the berm over there. So yeah, it has been an eventful evening for some of these folks.
Yeah, Doy Woods is currently 2 laps behind the pace. He's on pit road. Richard Beasley has called it a night in the 10 car. I believe there was some drivetrain issues with that car, and he's pulled it into the pits. We saw what he was able to do at Sonoma a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't great. Road course is not his forte. But you know what? When you look at the standings and you look at who is here, we mentioned earlier that David Comstock, Kevin Brown, Kyle Tarasca, on the positive side of the cut line when it comes to points, they are not here this evening. So they are standing to lose a little bit of ground per se on those guys like Tommy Ryan, obviously Richard Beasley, end of the race, but at least here to pick up a couple of points. Elliot Henderson, Mike Kelly, Scott Tilley, some of those guys out back. And then you look at the guys that may not necessarily be the road course prowess, but already have that win. You look at Josh Williams not here, Pedro Mojica not here. There's a couple of drivers throughout the field that just maybe not the best road course racers, Kevin, and opted to sit out this one, but we're still seeing some great racing as Kevin King starts to extend the lead a little bit now. It's now 1.4 seconds back to Adam Gilliland.
EJ O'Rourke goes wide in Canada corner, and that's going to allow the 5 of Trey Edson to duck underneath, take over position number 6. He comes here underneath the last bridge to the final quarter to the front stretch. Out in front of him, Byron Daly having a good race so far. He has gathered 5 positions to the 6th position, started 11th as Joachim and Doug Roth off the track one more time. But Byron Daly having a good chase so far early on here at Road America.
Yeah, early in this race, and obviously there's still a pit stop to go and still plenty of laps to get it done. But Byron, having a great run, was able to navigate some of that traffic a little bit earlier to get up into position number 6, and not a whole lot of pressure in front of him. And the one thing we're kind of being able to see right now is you see the positions change hands on the ticker. You're also seeing the last lap time. And when you look at Kevin King at a 2:13.92 to a 14:31 for Adam Gilliland, doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's 0.6 of a second in between those two right there that Kevin was able to gain the last lap by. And then you look back throughout the field, Daniel Faulkingham looks like he's a little bit quicker than Adam Gilliland, or at least was on the last lap. As you're right on board with Byron Daly trying to catch up to the driver in front of him. And we're going to see that all night long. Drivers getting a little bit better on the longer run than they are on the shorter run, and we're kind of seeing that on the side of the screen here.
Producer to pick up the 99 of Tommy Ryan, currently running in 11th position. He came over, well, he stopped really well at the porta potty, but made the left-hand turn on 5, and when he got hard on the gas to climb the hill to turn 6, had a hard left-hand turn and plowed the wall, the left side of the car, the whole back wrinkled over, the spoiler up in the air, but he was able to catch a gear and keep going. But quite a bit of damage on the left side of that number 99.
Yeah, he's had an up-and-down night easy for Tommy Ryan and the Snap Mobile team, just outside the top 10 as we continue to run here. You mentioned sitting in position number 12. Still got plenty of laps, though, to better where he currently is. And looking back here, it looks like Josh Parker and Justin Fuller, we talked about that battle swapping on the last lap. Fuller moving up ahead of Josh Parker and now trying to lengthen the gap a little bit. From the 23 is Justin Fuller, but the bad news for the 51 driver, Kevin, got about 10 seconds or so to reach Daniel Faulkingham.
Yeah, speaking of Daniel Faulkingham, let's see if we can go inside the car and follow Daniel around this racetrack. Just came across turn number 5 up the hill to turn number 6, hard on the brake here. Some drivers drop down to first gear, slam on that gas, come in through. Slight right-hand turn here. Going to use all the way out to the outside apron. You got to get over to the right here so you can make that left-hand corner. Hard left-hand corner, one of the sharpest ones on the racetrack. You go under the Speedville Bridge, and here you're just on the throttle, off the throttle, on the throttle, off the throttle, trying to get as much as you can. You're going to sweep down low right about here, hit that apron, drift across, get as much speed as you can down this straightaway. You're coming into the kink, you breathe the throttle, hook the car right, it floats through this corner. As soon as you catch that curving, you step on the gas. This is a complicated part of the racetrack. Car doesn't feel really good here as you're turning left, hard on the brake here to make the right into Canada corner. Right onto the apron as much as you can.
I'm kind of following, and you saw it at the bottom of the screen there in between lap times for Daniel Faulkingham as they continue to come down a little bit when it comes to tire wear and fuel load, and those laps become a little bit slower as the tires wear off. And Adam Gilliland, it seems like on the longer run, maybe doesn't have as much as Daniel Faulkingham does, and definitely doesn't have as much as Kevin King does. As Adam has fallen back off the pace, and Faulkingham going to try to take a run or take a little peek to driver's left here, going down into the corner that would be the inside, and Gilliland going to go a little bit wide, allow Daniel Faulkingham to go to the inside. They'll drag race up the hill, and Daniel Faulkingham will have the advantage into the braking zone, and Faulkingham will pick up the runner-up spot.
We'll see if Faulkingham can break away and get himself up, get a little breathing distance, and get himself up on the wheel to go chase down your leader. Trouble over there in Canada corner just a second ago. I'm not sure what it is about that corner, but it is perilous for a lot. Bentley Glazer off over in front of him. The 38 of Chad Coleman also off into the gravel, but both of them able to recover and continue on.
So let's see what they can do here. We're about, if they're splitting it up into 13 and 13 per se for segments or runs in this race, you would almost have to believe we're about 4 laps or 5 laps or so away from a pit stop. They can go, I believe, 17 to 19 laps or so on fuel. So if you really wanted to stretch it, you could go a few extra laps if you didn't want to split this race in half when it came to pit strategy. But Kevin King right now doing a great job up in front, and Daniel Faulkingham now in second. I think those two are close on lap times. I don't know how much Kevin is saving, knowing that he is up front. He's got about a 3-second gap back to Daniel Faulkingham, but we'll see what the next couple of laps hold when it comes to the stopwatch before they do decide to come down into pit road. Faulkingham has a lot of time to make up here.
King comes down this front straightaway to this first turn. It's a tricky place to get down to the right speed to cut this apex. One of the things I noticed about Kevin is some of the corners he's really attacking the curving, driving in tight and sweeping off really wide. But the car never really seems to be out of control. He's just constantly smooth off, and the key is he's getting that great drive off, and Kevin doing a good job when he's looking in the rearview mirror. Doesn't see a lot of pressure, and that's really helpful at a track like this, Tim, because you can get in the zone and just drive your line, focus on every corner. But you can see how much he sweeps out there. He's using every inch of the racetrack to his advantage.
Absolutely. He's going wide. He's using all those extra pieces of real estate and not going past the boundary that he has, or going on to the grass and having those offs. Kevin doing a great job up in front. Daniel Faulkingham right in behind in second. And Adam Gilliland hasn't really fallen off the pace per se of Daniel Faulkingham. He's able to keep pretty much in the slipstream, but not really close enough to make a huge move should something happen with that number 39 car, unless it is catastrophic. And then Josh Parker back about 13 or 14 seconds off of the Adam Gilliland machine. And then you see that battle in behind that's starting to brew. It looks like Byron Daly has caught Justin Fuller, and Fuller making up that one spot that he lost on Daly. So it looks like Justin Fuller has had a almost like a yo-yo of an evening so far, because he was ahead of Josh Parker at one point, has now fallen back in behind Byron Daly and made the pass on Byron Daly to get back to position number 5. So it's been a fun night if you're the 51 driver.
Yeah, and these cars are going to start to become a handful as we get into lap 10, lap 20. If they stay out, the tire wear is going to be the case. We saw Scott Simley come down turn number 1, and now I see him going through over there to come to the carousel, locking up that left front, and you end up wearing the tires. And even though you hit your braking point, when you go to turn, the car just does not scrub the way it did in the beginning, and certainly new tires help the car cut. And see some of these drivers, they're going to have to back up their braking points. We're going to be missing some of the corners, and we've seen a lot of cars in the grass quite a bit.
It's just a matter of adjusting and trying to hit your marks, especially on the longer run when the tires start to wear, the fuel starts to burn off, and that car is going to handle differently than when it started. There's Robert Gilliland on your screen trying to make a move on Elliot Henderson as Henderson moves to the inside, the driver's right on the front straightaway to allow Gilliland to go by, and that'll move Bob up to the top 10. Move him into position number 10 and try to chase down E.J. O'Rourke ahead of him. So some positions changing hands here in these last couple of laps and leading up to what we anticipate to be the pit stop if these drivers do decide to split this race in half.
Yeah, Gilliland fresh off the win from the late model event just the other night, and looks like he's got a pretty good horse underneath him here tonight at Road America.
The downside for Bob is he's not going to have the benefit of a yellow flag to try to bunch this field up and get what he can. Started in position number 12, has now moved up into 10th, so there's been a little bit of change for him throughout the evening. This battle here continues to rage on from what would be position number 4 on back. Justin Fuller, after having his moment earlier, has caught back up to Josh Parker, but he's brought some friends along with him. He's right on board with Byron Daly, and just in behind him is Trey Edson. So there are 4 cars battling for position number 4, and within close proximity. Look at Trey Edson put that pressure on Byron Daly.
4 tires in full fuel for Jose Gonzalez, currently in the 22nd position. Not the night I would have expected for Jose. I'm not sure if he's a fan of this racetrack or not, but first one to pit road is the Goya number 26.
He might want to get out of here and get out of here quick, as there goes Fuller to the inside of Josh Parker, and there's no blink there. Fuller going to move up one more spot. Parker just went a little bit wide in that corner in order for the 51 to pounce on the 23 car, but we'll see when these drivers up front do decide to come onto pit road. To your point on Jose Gonzalez, is the leaders will bypass pit road here and come up the hill to complete lap number 11. Sits 11th in the point standings for Jose when it comes to the races. When you factor in the drop, E.J. O'Rourke 1 point ahead of him. We mentioned Chad Coleman documenting his night. He's had an up and down night. He's in behind Jose Gonzalez, and then the trio that we mentioned not here, David Comstock, Kevin Brown, and Kyle Tarasca. So Jose is probably going to gain a little bit on that cut line. But if you're Jose, you just got to get as many points as you can just to make yourself feel comfortable here in the next 8 races going into the playoffs.
Yeah, the thing about this racetrack being so big, you do not lose a lap. Well, Jose's in 23rd position. He did not lose a lap on that. We see Bentley Glazer in getting some service. When they started qualifying, Tim, we noticed that the stopwatch, 2 minutes, 11 seconds. Currently, Kevin King running 2 minutes, 15 seconds. And most of these drivers are between 2:15 and 2:20 lap times, giving up maybe 10 seconds off of qualifying. That's how much tires make a difference here.
Yeah, but when it comes to the fuel mileage, we had the conversation about a 2-stop compared to a 1-stop, and I don't think the tires are going to mean that much as Daly's off into the sand trap underneath the Johnsonville Bridge, and he'll keep forward momentum, but you see all that time that he loses, all that momentum that he loses. The battle that was 4 cars is now 3 cars, and it's almost 2 because Justin Fuller has pulled away from Parker and now Trey Edson, and with Byron a little ways behind and Fuller a little ways ahead, this may be a 2-car battle or a 2-car tango per se for position number 5 as they continue on, and Trey begins to look over that Interstate Batteries 23.
Yeah, looking at Fuller, I'm going to use one word: experience. He just Any track you go to, he seems to be like a Kevin Harvick. He knows the track. He's consistent. He hits his marks. He hits his line. He doesn't overdrive the race car. And then number 51 is always in the hunt in this type of racetrack where it's a driver's racetrack. You got to be up on the wheel, and he just knows how to get the job. He may not be out there with Kevin King, but he's getting the work done here tonight.
He's consistent as the battle behind him changes hands. It's going to be Trey Edson taking the spot away from Josh Parker. Parker pulls over, and that's not the first time we've seen that in a battle here this evening where the driver pulls over on the front straightaway, allows the driver in behind him to go by and maybe wear his stuff out as Trey gets a little bit sideways ahead of the 23. Parker going to be able to try to reel him back in, but we've seen it over the long run. Some of these drivers struggle a little bit, and you look at the times right now, or you look at the gaps back from first to second, second to third, and then that huge gap between third and fourth right now is over 20 seconds, or just about 20 seconds, between Adam Gilliland and Justin Fuller. And Fuller's been able to pull away from the battle in behind him, albeit by about 2 seconds or so. But we're at that halfway point now in this race where we expect these drivers down, at least the leaders, down anytime from now to the next 5 laps or so.
Look at turn number 6 coming into the carousel. There is a scrap going on. Tommy Ryan and 41 of EJ O'Rourke were side by side going down the front straightaway. Ryan trying to get the inside line, wasn't able to do it. The 41 car just flopping all over the place. Looks like a mackerel on the deck. The car just loose every time on the throttle. Ryan patiently sitting there waiting for the slip up to see if he could sneak underneath. He thought he might get it here on the carousel as the 41 stuck out. Turns down underneath him. Going to try to make the pass going into the kink here. Good drive off for EJ O'Rourke, but I'll tell you what, these two have been scrapping for a full lap here. And Ryan just keeps looking, but being respectful has not put a fender on EJ O'Rourke.
EJ's been struggling with speed, kind of center off. He's kind of parked it on a couple of corners, Kevin, proverbially, without getting there. Like right there, coming off the corner, Tommy Ryan gets that great launch, and this time is able to get to the inside, and EJ almost gets into him, going down to the corner, kind of gives him a little bit of a body check through the corner, but Tommy Ryan has been able to get off the corners a little bit better than EJ O'Rourke has, and EJ's just, it's kind of been a little bit sluggish, per se, getting off the corner. He's going to lose one more here to Elliot Henderson as Henderson goes by, and talk about a battle on the racetrack, also realistically a battle for points. EJ O'Rourke comfortable above the cut line, Tommy Ryan on the cut line, and Elliot Henderson in behind. So there's some stuff to be made there as Josh Parker comes on to pit road. We're starting to see some pit stops here at the halfway point in this race.
Yeah, service done for Adam Gilliland. He's down and away as EJ O'Rourke's mackerel goes by. Here comes Gilliland into turn number 1. He's going to come up and grab a gear, go back to speed, and head down to turn number 3. I don't know where turn 2 is on this racetrack, but Gilliland probably one of the first top cars. And this has got to be the strategy to see if he can leapfrog the 88 by having some faster laps before King gets in.
And if he doesn't leapfrog the 88, at least put himself ahead of the 39 of Daniel Faulkingham, because he was falling in behind the 39 by a few seconds before that green flag pit stop happens. Keep your eye on Kevin King and Daniel Faulkingham. We are past the halfway point in this Transervice Cup Series race at Road America. 13 complete and 13 to go, and about to be 14 complete as Kevin King continues to work his way around this racetrack. In front of him is the 43 of Doug Roth, and Doug would be going one lap down as he runs in 24th here this evening as Roth allows Kevin King to go to the inside and make the move.
King scoots by cleanly. Roth has just had his challenges. He's been in the grass quite a bit tonight, but still the car looks pretty straight. Everything that he's done has just been a slight off as we have our first car one lap down from competition, and Kevin King does not go to pit road. He's going to roll here through turn number 1 and continue the quest. Car still looks good coming off the corner, Tim. I guess from a tire standpoint, what he's doing, smooth in, smooth off, not too crazy, hasn't been dragging the brakes. car still looks pretty quick, and he's running really quick lap times to boot.
Yeah, Daniel Faulkingham came down into pit road on that last lap, and Byron Daly going to do the same. So keep your eye on those two and see what they can do, because not only was Daniel involved in that battle for the lead per se, or at least in that top three for a podium spot, Byron Daly was involved in that battle for what was about fourth and fifth on back before he decided to head down to pit road to get the service on his car. Robert Gilliland right in behind him as well, and they'll come down, get service to their race cars. Kevin King continues to lead this thing up in front, and you mentioned those lap times continuing to be decent on these old tires, and Adam Gilliland and Daniel Faulkingham going to have a lap or 2 laps on Kevin King to see what they can do on the new tires. But is it going to be enough to erase a 4-second or a 6-second deficit? It's going to be easier said than done.
Trey Edson was tracking with Justin Fuller there, went off in turn number 1, out into the grass, got right to the edge of the gravel trap, but able to yank the thing right, get back on the racetrack, lost a little bit of time. And this is where you wonder if these drivers, if they ducked in and got fresh tires, would be able to cut those corners a little bit. Left front tire slides, car sweeps out as he comes under the Speedville Bridge. And certainly the 5 crew looking to put 4 tires and see if they can give Trey Edson a little more grip in the on-site Gas Systems Camaro.
Needs just a little bit more by the looks of it to have a shot at least at what was 4th place battle. At the end of that, as Kevin King comes down into pit road, so he will come down as we have the off on our screen.
One more time, yeah.
Yeah, and there's one more. Tommy Ryan, I believe that was in the back, struggling to keep it on the racetrack. But your leader, Kevin King, has come down pit road to get service to his race car. So now we have the opportunity, Kevin, to see who is going to have the better strategy, because our top 3 all pitted on 3 different laps.
Yeah, and for Kevin, the key here is don't make a mistake. You had a big enough lead, you can be patient, come down. Even if you give a little bit up on pit road, you've made it up on the racetrack, and he just needs to go in and do the standard 4 tires and fuel. We see left side tires going on. They change the lefts first here, and yep, Kevin is going to go for the full service 4 tires and fuel. See, Trey Edson has been listening to his inner child. He ducked off, and he's going to go for service in the number 5.
And here comes what would be the rest of the field. But Daniel Faulkingham ahead of Kevin King coming off of pit road. Just barely Faulkingham able to get ahead of the 88. And I don't want to say that might be all he needs, but I'm interested to see how wide Faulkingham can make this race car here in the next couple laps if he can manage Kevin King behind him.
I just saw Scott Stenzel take a right-hand turn, plow into the fence. Huge damage, multiple contact points over there on the right-hand side. And he's going to nurse that car through the grass and come back in. And I think, yeah, he's going to take it to the garage.
Faulkingham has company, and Kevin King hanging on the right rear quarter of the 39 is Kevin King's 88 as he crosses him over here, trying to get to the inside. Cannot do so. Half a car length between those two as Faulkingham snakes around this racetrack with Kevin King in tow. Adam Gilliland was the 3rd place car, but as you can see, he's got a little ways to make up as Kevin King almost wheel hops there going down to the corner.
King shadowing the 39 of Faulkingham as they go through the car, wobbles a little bit, trying to get into the throttle as much as he can. They come off of the carousel, come down through here to get to the kink. Faulkingham able to get about a car length. They hustle the car through this corner. You got to be careful. King pretty conservative here, and just have to wonder also, one of the things, the dynamics, Tim, is that after you come off pit road, you got to be careful and let the tires come up the temperature a little bit. I would think that Kevin King's tires are good to go by now.
The other thing we're going to have to watch here is the late race run that we're going to have to the end. And they're going to come down this time and have 10 laps to go. And if you're Kevin King, you know you're a little bit better than Daniel Faulkingham on the second half of that run, maybe from lap 8 to 15 on, but they don't have 15 laps. Daniel Faulkingham has to keep Kevin behind him for the next 10. Easier said than done, but I think Kevin's a little bit better on that longer run, so as long as he can keep focus and he goes to the inside here down into turn number 1, Faulkingham. Does he have enough to get the run off the corner to maintain the lead? They are still side by side for the lead.
Side by side coming down to the corner. King has the preferred line. Faulkingham holding him tight. King able to drive through the apex. He's going to get up and cut the corner. That's going to make Faulkingham wiggle just a little bit. Kevin King back out front here as they go underneath the cheese bridge.
And now Kevin King, does he drive away from the competition like he did a little bit earlier? If you're Daniel Faulkingham, how much do you push it here to try to keep up with Kevin King? Was good into the braking zone, but Kevin King, smooth as glass, pulls away out of the corner and up the hill into 6 and makes that left-hand turn. Kevin doing a great job. As long as he can hit his marks, this is his race to lose.
Yeah, I think what Daniel needs to do is take a deep breath right now and then get some focus and go get him while he still has him in sight. If Kevin's able to draw away, as we see a lap car, Ryan, pull off to the right and give them the space, you just have to take a deep breath here if you're Daniel. Keep him in touch and see if maybe Kevin has an off. It is possible that you could, we saw what happened to the 5-car at Pocono. All things are possible. So for Daniel, he needs to get back in the pocket here and see what he could do to chase down Kevin.
Especially with a big 4-mile technical racetrack that we have. If you're Kevin King, you need to hit your marks. If you're Daniel Faulkingham, yes, you need to hit your marks, but you also need to keep the 88 car in sight and make sure that he doesn't lose forward momentum. Keep enough pressure on him. Keep within a second or so if you can to try to make sure that he knows that you're there. But if you're Faulkingham, you're also trying to manage 2-lap older tires and Kevin King ahead of you. And looking at the gap back, Adam Gilliland has fallen to about 7 seconds or so in behind this duo up in front. The battle that was about 4 cars is still the same 4 cars or so, but it's a little bit of a bigger gap. You see Justin Fuller on your screen, Josh Parker ahead of him as Parker comes by and puts a lap. I believe that might be the 40 car that he just made the move on at Charles Woods. Byron Daly behind them, Trey Edson behind them. No pressure for those 4 drivers that were once a part of a battle. There's really no pressure no more, at least right now.
Adam Gilliland currently running third. His lost touch to the top 2. He's just by himself on the racetrack here, trying to put in good laps, see if he can close in. But as the race wears on, he's been dropping back a little bit, almost 6 seconds back in arrears of Kevin King at this juncture. But he has a huge lead over Josh Parker. He's 6 seconds back from the leader. Josh Parker, 22 seconds back. So from that standpoint, Gilliland solidly in a podium position and just needs to take his time and get to the finish here.
Ooh, there's one off the racetrack in behind Chad Coleman, and the battle between him and Tyler Dalton.
Glazer?
Yeah, Glazer one more time coming off the racetrack. But the 38, we haven't talked a whole lot about Chad Coleman here this evening. We haven't talked a whole lot about Tyler Dalton, but started in 13th and 14th place respectively, and they're running 13th and 14th place right now on the racetrack. Chad Coleman in a Michael Sharp tap-out tuning car in behind the 19 of Tyler Dalton, trying to make that move. Started up the season really well, did the number 19, but Tyler trying to pick up some points and get himself a little bit closer to what would be a championship run here in 2021. But a great little battle here between these two, battling for 13th.
Justin Fuller currently running in the 5th position. He cuts through the kink coming into the back part of the racetrack. He can see Josh Parker in front of him. We know how those two get along here, and they're within sight distance of each other, and you have to wonder if Fuller seems to be closing in a little bit on Josh Parker, and it'll be interesting to see if he could catch him and get by him here before this event runs out.
So far this evening, they've been fairly cordial. They've had a couple of on-track battles that have resulted in 0 contact, and it's been friendly, per se, in between the two. You wouldn't think they would have had a rivalry coming in, watching the couple of positions they have swapped here this evening. But Fuller, it seems like in the last couple laps, he might be just a skosh quicker. Last time by for Parker was a 14:45, back to a 12:88 for Justin Fuller. So Fuller definitely quicker the last lap by, making some time up. The downside to this, Kevin, is that if Fuller's able to pass Josh Parker, he's got about 20-something seconds to catch Adam Gilliland. So he's able to manage this battle in these next closing 8 laps or so. Let's keep your eye on this one as we work our way a little bit closer to the finish of this Transervice Cup Series race.
Tight down the hill, Fuller sweeps wide. He's going to get to the back bumper, Josh Parker. They're going to come up the hill here, see if he can get to the inside, make that pass. He's going to be patient, make the left, get the apex. Tight corner, good run for Fuller. Parker sweeps out. He's going to cover the position. They head into that little kink right-hand turn here. Now they're going to get over to the right. Not a great passing opportunity for Fuller, so he's caught him. He just needs to be patient. Slip of the left front tire for Josh Parker has allowed Fuller to pull alongside. Over here in the carousel, boy, this is a tough pass. But he could get a good run right here if he turns the car down. Yeah, they're going to run side by side over here to the kink. This is a treacherous place to try and do that. Boy, these guys are really tussling over here on the back part of the racetrack.
They're racing hard, but there hasn't been any contact so far between them. Justin Fuller has been trying to get by in some of these corners the harder way on the outside, but trying to not make any sort of contact and not trying to muscle Josh Parker. I think he knows that it's a long way to go up the road to get another position, but if these guys continue to tussle like that, Byron Daly won't be too far in behind as Parker once again trying to muscle that one, and Fuller going to go to the inside on the front straightaway and try to take away the position. He's got the run. It's going to be Fuller at the strike with that position to move him up to 4th, and now we'll see if Parker has anything left or if Fuller can pull away one more time here.
It was a great passing opportunity to get to the bottom over here in turn 1, but it didn't really matter. He had enough of distance on him. And you could just see the back end stepping out of 23 for Josh Parker, the Bud Light Toyota, just not glued to the racetrack in the same way that the 51 is, and I believe that Justin Fuller is going to set sail.
And now the battle in behind him is going to be Byron Daly and Trey Edson, and Trey has reeled in Byron Daly, and Trey is going to go to the inside here and make this thing look easy. So move Trey Edson up one more spot to position number 6 as Byron Daly. Car might be giving up, or tires might be giving up a little bit more than he wants to in the remaining 7 laps of this race. And now Trey will set his sights on Josh Parker with 7 laps to go in this race with the way Parker is falling off and Trey continues to move up. We may have a battle for the top 5 spot before this thing is all said and done.
Yeah, as you watch this battle on the screen, Kevin King, number 88, is gapped to almost 3 seconds. He's on the back part of the racetrack heading over to the final corners, and that car just looks really straight, smooth. And as long as he can keep it between the barriers, he'll be in good shape here to get himself a victory here at Road America. He comes off of the final turn, turn 14 to the front straightaway. Working lap 20, going to come to 21 when he gets to the start-finish line. And as you look back through that straightaway, no Daniel Faulkingham in sight, at least from the back bumper. As Kevin comes down to turn 1, it's got to be, 30 car lengths back to the 39.
Yeah, plenty of gap back. And for most of these drivers in the top 10, they've kind of established their position, except for that 10th place position. It belongs right now to Elliott Henderson. EJ O'Rourke wants it. EJ's been closing in these last few laps. The problem is he's kind of forcing Elliott Henderson to make a mistake. EJ will look low, will look high, will look right, look left, not make any contact with him, almost to the point, Kevin, where he's missed his braking point, I believe, more than once to try to make Elliott Henderson blink, and Elliott has a little bit of a slide there from the 37 coming off of 14, but EJ had the same slide. They come up the hill and down the straightaway, and EJ is a few car lengths in behind, but I think if EJ hits his marks, this will be a battle for position number 10 before this thing is all said and done. Elliott Henderson, though, trying to protect that 10th place position.
Yeah, and as these two were fighting for position on the racetrack, Trey Edson got to the back bumper of Byron Daly, had a good run on the front straightaway. Approaching turn one, Daly realized that Edson caught him, was faster, pulled over, yielded the position. Now they come down the hill to turn number 5 and make the left-hand turn, and Edson able to gap out about 2 car lengths. Byron Daly just going to follow him and see what he's doing. And, you know, sometimes that's the way to figure out this racetrack. If you have somebody who catches you, you let them by, and then you follow their tire tracks to see if you could find out where on the racetrack they're making time on you.
And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Byron Daly, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing with EJ O'Rourke, is those two drivers ahead in those battles are kind of making those moves, and the other driver in behind trying to follow along in the tire tracks to see where they are kind of lacking and maybe make up that little bit of time. Here's a nice little scrap on our screen. That's the 2, I believe, of Mike Kelly. In behind, that is Gerald Livingston. Scott Simley would be the next driver for position in behind, but they are not with Mike Kelly and Gerald Livingston right now. So keep your eye on that battle. That one may change hands before this thing is all said and done. That'll be the battle for 15th.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy Vidane's coverage here of the SIM500 Transervice Series. Visit Vidane TV's website. New t-shirt out there, Tim. Something to do with someone, Mr. Adams, and some commentary that came in from the internet watching one of the races the other night.
Yeah, he's got a John Adams shirt in the Vidane.shop shop and the merchandise stand. And Paul, you can put some light on this because it comes from the Firecracker 400 and a move that Freddie Kraft was not happy with.
Yeah, our good friend John Adams carried the Vidane TV logo on the back portion of the Shenandoah Shine number 47 car. Unfortunately, had a connection issue early on, dropped out of the race, lost 5 or 6 laps early on, and decided to get those laps back the hard way. The Firecracker 400, a great race put on by Landon Castle, Parker Kligerman, the whole E-Racer group, David Schildhouse in the booth, doing commentary like only he does. And unfortunately, John got all the way up to the front of the pack, and we had a spotter out there in Twitter world say if he was going to get out there and spin out in front of the pack with all these laps down and ruin the race, he was going to get the bonehead of the idiot of the night award. So that's unfortunately is what happened, and a little bit of words were exchanged over Twitch and Twitter, and John Adams making himself internet famous once again. But gotta capitalize where you can. Check out the shirt over at Vidane.shop. A couple of other shirts over there added in there as well. A couple of Grand Theft Auto themed shirts in there. Check it out. Be sure to check those out, share it with your friends, and let us know if you've got any ideas. We're always open to add things in there. It's not just a race shop, it's a t-shirt shop for ideas for everybody.
Yeah, that was a great race. Adam Gilliland had a good run. One of the Duttons had a great run in that race. Earnhardt Jr. came on the end after they were kind of chastising him for riding around in the back, and he ended up being a player in it. It was an outstanding race, and congrats to Landon and friends for a pretty entertaining race.
Yeah, great job put on by all with the Firecracker 400, and looking forward to their next event as Jeff Ryan has an off and currently 2 laps down, and he's struggling to keep it on the racetrack and still trying to get it back on there. Tough sled for Jeff Ryan, currently in 24th. Everybody else behind him has retired for the evening. That's probably where he's going to finish this evening, unless somebody in front of him decides to duck off. You saw the battle on your screen between Elliott Henderson and EJ O'Rourke. Now you see the battle between the 33 of Byron Daly and the 5 of Trey Edson. Byron's been able to get back by the 5 and ride behind him for a couple laps, see what you have. And now Byron is trying to play the defense, trying to hold off Trey Edson instead of playing the offense like he was a couple laps ago.
Yeah, still little tussles here and there. I was watching Bob Gillenwater. He's putting in some pretty good lap times here. 2 minutes, 16 seconds, not too far off the leader. The car does look a little loose in the back end, but consistent and holding his own. Currently running the 8th position in that number 4.
Yeah, good run out of Gilliland and trying to close in on the battle in front of him. It might be easier said than done. You mentioned the 2:16 laps that he's turning. Byron Daly's about the same time frame. Trey Edson last couple laps has been just a little bit off that, just a shade off of the 2:16 mark at 2:17.33. But if Bob can continue to make up those time, make up the time on those laps, he may be able to get up there. But it's a long way to go in a short time to get there with only 4 laps to go.
It's such an interesting dynamic for a driver. Do you want to run the racetrack clear in front of you and just concentrate on hitting your corners, or do you want to chase the rabbit? That's the question that I have for Bob Gilliland, right? He can see those drivers in front of him, and maybe he's going to run faster lap times or overextend the car. What kind of driver are you? We're not sure, but it's always interesting for me in a headspace to watch a driver like Gilliland who can see those guys up there, and really would love to be able to drive up and be a part of that tussle.
We mentioned that battle between Byron Daly and Trey Edson. I think the other battle within the top 10 is going to be around Tommy Ryan, Elliott Henderson, and EJ O'Rourke if that accordion comes back in together. Elliott Henderson right now in 10th. Got about a second or so to catch up to Tommy Ryan. You see that gap right there as they come up the hill to complete their 23rd lap of this race. And EJ O'Rourke has fallen in by about a second and a half or so in behind Elliott Henderson. So when EJ O'Rourke was on the attack, it looks like he may have attacked just a little bit too much, as EJ's actually fallen in to about 4 seconds behind Elliott Henderson. So Elliott is trying to catch Tommy Ryan ahead of him. Got about a second or so to reel him in, and he's only got about 3 laps to do so.
Just an amazing performance so far for Kevin King. He's a full second faster than everybody else on the field here. Daniel Faulkingham has dropped back about 6 seconds, and King is just on cruise control. Faulkingham in second, Gilliland third. 4th place, Justin Fuller, Josh Parker in 5th, Trey Edson, Byron Daly, Bob Gilliland, Tommy Ryan. Elliott Henderson hanging on there right now in the 10th position as the laps are winding down here. So far from the green, it was the 88 dropping out front, and he's pretty much led every lap here, and that number 88 is on track to be a 2-time winner this season.
Yeah, just got to keep the thing on the racetrack. 6 seconds back to Daniel Faulkingham, back to Adam Gilliland is about another 14 or so. So lots of time there. The battle that was for 4th, not really a battle no more. Justin Fuller's got 2 seconds on Parker, and then you look back to Trey Edson, you look back to Byron Daly, probably the closest battle within the top 10, and Trey has about a second or so, maybe just a little bit less, on Byron Daly as they continue to swap those positions back and forth seemingly in the last couple laps. So that Valvoline number 33 might have something to say before this thing is all said and done in 2 more laps.
Help me if I got this correct. Did Kevin King win Kansas this year? I'm trying to remember if it was him that got the victory there.
Yeah, Kevin King went to victory lane at Sonoma earlier this year.
Yeah, the All-Star event. That's what it is.
Yeah, Sonoma was able to really put himself into the conversation to get into the top 20, to get that playoff ticket officially punched, and 56 points when it came to the drops. Coming in with 8 races to go. I think that is manageable, especially with who he's racing around. But he still has to make those points up. He still has to get those that top 20, and the wins come with points. So if he can get one more here, it's going to close that gap even more than it currently is. You should see the battle on your screen for position number 6.
33 of Byron Daly, his back end steps out a little bit on throttle. These drivers putting it down in the lower gears to see if they can get that drive off. But when the tire's worn, that back end will swing out. Sometimes you just got to keep the hammer down, wait till it hooks up, and then the car takes off and you have the chase. But that's going to cost Byron a little time. Trey Edson able to get out and away as they approach turn 5, hard on the brake, makes the left-hand turn. Byron Daly able to close down a little bit, but the 5 streaks off on corner exit, and 33 slipping back just a little bit here.
Slipping back as Josh Parker has an off in the 23, and we'll see if it's enough for Trey Edson and the trailing car and Byron Daly to get there. But we are coming up to Kevin King on the white flag lap, final lap for the 88, as he goes down the long straightaway into corner number 1. Has looked smooth so far. Got 7 seconds back to Daniel Faulkingham. Just needs to keep it on the pavement for one more lap.
Scott Simley, the Verizon Ford, out in front of him. Scott currently scored in the 17th position, last car on the lead lap, hoping to finish that way. He wants to see whether Kevin King is going to catch him. You're acutely aware, Tim, of who is leading the race and how far away they are. You're always constantly looking at the relative to see, and you don't want to hold that driver up, but yet again, I'm sure the 12 wants to finish on the lead lap.
Absolutely, but there's not a whole lot of position to gain with Livingston in front of him by about 14 seconds or so, and then Mike Kelly another 4 seconds ahead of the 96. So Kevin King just trying to hold on and keeping that number 12 in front of him and managing that gap. And the battles within the top 5 kind of aren't really a whole lot of battles among them, as Byron Daly's lost touch with Trey Edson and he's closing laps. Bob Gillenwater hasn't been able to close on Byron Daly. Tommy Ryan holding his own over Elliot Henderson. So it looks like, for the most part, these battles have subsided up in front.
Through the carousel and now into the kink, he heads down into the cattle bottoms. Kevin King wide off the racetrack a little bit in the grass. He's able to gather it up. Tense moment there here on the last lap as he comes through to Canada Corner. Last time through, and I would imagine that's going to shake him up a little bit here, as he just needs to get to the finish line.
Yeah, but he's got a little bit of time. That runoff didn't really affect a whole lot as he gets ready to come into 14, the final corner, and gets ready to climb the hill and into his second point win in this Transervice Cup Series season in 2021, trying to get into the top 20 in points. This will definitely help him. Kevin King is a winner at Road America in the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series, and he is going to have about a 7-second or more gap back to Daniel Faulkingham, who comes across the line in position number 2. Adam Gilliland going to come across the line in 3rd, and then it's a little ways back to Justin Fuller and the rest of this field.
Yeah, Fuller missed that last corner back there, but he had enough of a gap that so far he's going to be able to hold that position as he cruises around the final corner as the fireworks go off here for your winner. And Fuller comes out of turn number 14 up the hill, going to come to the start-finish line. Finish in the 4th position tonight in the personal comfort Ford as Kevin King goes around and gives everybody a wave over there in turn number 5. Telling everybody he's got the victory, and the rest of the field's going to streak across and get this finished. Going to be quite a ways as a lot of these cars, the last car I think is coming over there to turn number 8, so it'll be a while before everybody still finishes this race.
And Kevin King already celebrating, doing his burnouts in turn 5, and going to continue on around this racetrack and get his victory celebration continued as Kevin King celebrates his 2nd win of the season. See if we can't catch up.
Down over there.
Yeah, see if we can't catch up with Adam Gilliland, who finishes in position number 3 here this evening. Adam, what else did you need this evening to get up a little bit closer to Kevin King?
Just a little bit of a new seat insert, aka a different driver. I don't claim to be the best here on these road courses, but I think tonight, as much as it hurts to lose by 16 seconds, I think we were a lot closer tonight than we were at Sonoma and some of these other road courses. Kevin's really stepped up his game the last few months and has really become a road course ringer. So I knew he was going to be tough to beat tonight. I knew Daniel, obviously, but definitely wanted to just try to finish within 20 seconds because we finished about 40 seconds behind at Sonoma. And we achieved that even with going off in the gravel on a couple different corners. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the result.
Track position's always key at these things, and you dug deep in qualifying and got the pole position. I know the start probably wasn't what you wanted, but how cool was it to get a pole here at a road course?
Really cool. I definitely didn't expect that. I felt really good about that lap. Maybe lost 1 or 2 tenths, but that was pretty much all she had. I know we were supposed to have single car qualifying, and Kevin kind of messed up his first lap and then got held up on his second lap. So I don't know if that would have changed the outcome, but nonetheless, yeah, that was awesome. I wish I could have held it, at least until turn one, but that uphill start, not knowing when the green was, it was a combination to spin the tires. I was just happy to come out of turn one, second place still.
And come home with a top 3 finish and solidify even more your position when it comes to trying to make it into the playoffs. Who do you got in this race car for sponsors? Who's on the team that helps you out? Who gets you to the racetrack?
I got to thank Scott Stencil and Personal Comfort. I know Scott had a little bit of a rough night tonight in the actual race, but can't thank him and Personal Comfort enough for the support all season. Got to thank all the boys back at the team, Kevin, Dylan, Daniel. We got a interesting night coming up on Thursday in Road to Pro, so looking forward to that. And as always, got to thank Brennan and Gilliland Trucking.
There's Adam Gilliland coming home with position number 3. Another great effort for this number 81 team as they shape up for the summer stretch. And Kevin, you've caught up with another one of our podium finishers.
Yeah, Daniel Faulkingham, good race here tonight. Second place on the podium. Had the right pit strategy, made the right call, but it looks like that 88 was just a tick too fast for you here.
Yeah, I'm even lucky I gave myself a chance. I mean, the friggin' race was a disaster from start to finish. Even in qualifying, if we didn't get blocked in qualifying, I think we probably could have had pole position, but to make ourselves a little bit easier. But I definitely feel like we had a pretty good pace with Kevin. I feel like we could. I felt like we were straight lap times. Even when I got in traffic, I was trying to use up my stuff, trying to get through traffic after I got shafted on the first lap. But I felt like I had a pretty good pace, and if I was probably even closer to him on the pit stops, I probably could have made that undercut work a bit better. But, I'm honestly just lucky enough I even got the P2 because, like I said, it was a disastrous start. And even to get through the field like that, I guess I'll take it, but still a lot of disappointment.
Talk about the conditions out there tonight at Road America. How was the track to drive, and how were the tire wear for you?
Well, we had a really cool track tonight, so we had more grip than I anticipated, honestly. And the tires, tires were a big fall off a lot, so definitely had to manage those pretty well. And I really didn't do a lot of tire saving tonight, honestly. I really didn't manage them a lot because I was trying, like I said, I was trying to get through the field after my first lap shenanigans and whatnot. So, but I felt like on the second run, I don't know what I was doing wrong. Probably just the one lap to better tires that Kevin had was just that big of a difference. But I just felt like I just couldn't make my marks. Like every time I brake, especially Canada corner, I just blow it every time. So I don't know. I probably just mostly me on the second run, just out of frustration, just everything that happened. But it was a pretty. I was kind of surprised at how well kind of the car was driving. I thought it'd be not a lot of grip, but it was pretty good grip, especially like on the first few laps of a run. So that was really interesting.
What is that challenge for Canada Corner? So many drivers have a hard time finding the right braking point to get into turn 12.
Yeah, probably because I was using second gear through there all night. I don't know if a lot of drivers are using first gear or whatnot, but it's just the way I was, I guess, because you think you can brake at a certain point because I use all the braking markers on the left as like my braking points and stuff. And they can trick you out at times. You think you may need to brake at the first marker, but you got to brake a little bit before that. So probably just where everyone thinks they need to brake, but it's really easy to overshoot if you just miss it or lock up a tire. And it may either what gear you use, because second gear you are bogged down a bit more than you are on first gear. But it's a really challenging corner. Larry, this entire track is challenging. That's why I love this track so much. But Canada corner. Just a big challenge all night.
Yeah, this track seems a little more favorable to this type of car than, say, Coda, and we'll be heading to Watkins Glen not too long and get to try it again. How about it, Daniel? Who helps you get the job done here tonight?
I got to thank First Rate Baylocks 207 for all their support. I also got to thank you guys for on the broadcast. Definitely going to go back and watch that. You guys kill it with the broadcast every week. I got to thank all my team's team name, Josh Parker, Chad Coleman, Byron Daly, Richard Beasley. I don't know where Beasley was tonight. He was in the session but never raced, so I don't know what's up with him. But thanks to all those guys and other guys that weren't racing with us tonight. Got to thank Transervice for sponsoring the series. Congrats to Kevin on the win. Yeah, and thanks to everyone who watched the race tonight. Thanks to a lot of my friends and family who watched the race tonight as well.
There you go, Daniel Faulkingham. Go celebrate, Daniel, a second place finish, and we'll see you next week as I turn it over to our friend Tim, who's caught up with a guy with the biggest smile on his face tonight. Kevin King, your winner.
Yeah, Kevin King once again made it look easy, especially in the second half, pulling away from Daniel Faulkingham, but I'm sure it wasn't easy behind the wheel. Talk about the battle tonight and trying to manage this 26-lap race.
Well, I knew we had a one-stop race, and I knew we would probably at least pit after 15. So I just try to manage. I mean, I got a really good start. Adam spun the tires a little bit, which helped a lot. And I knew if I just had the first lap, I could just kind of maintain until pit stops, and then try to create a gap. That way, if someone undercut, that I would probably come out really close to them, and then have that one lap advantage for the next 12, 13 laps or so. And that's what happened. So really, just I ran. This is the first time I've ever been on this track this week. So I ran some laps trying to figure out what I was doing. And once I figured out like long run pace and what I had to do, I just kind of used that. And then once I pit, just maintained. Once I was able to get past Daniel, just kind of maintained, knowing that I'd have a lap fresher tires for the next 10 so laps, and just kind of cruise. I mean, I had one big off the last lap, hit the bump really big, but for the most part, I had a pretty clean race.
You talked about that battle with Daniel Faulkingham. Did you think he would give you a little more of a fight after that pit stop to try to get by? And how wide did you think that Faulkingham was going to make it to try to get by the 39 in the middle stages of this race?
Yeah, I knew he had speed. Having Adam behind me helped a lot, just because I knew the dirty air here is pretty large. So I just kind of maintained with Adam, and I knew, in order to try to close the gap, he was going to have to use up his tires. And once he got close enough, his tires would pretty much be gone. So I knew once we hit like lap 9 or 10, that's when the tire advantage would really come to my favor, and it kind of turned out that way. But realistically, it's so hard to maintain speed and be really fast and then keep your tires on, that I kind of knew once we hit like halfway through that first session that as long as I didn't make any mistakes, I should be in pretty good spot. So it's a hard track to go fast, and it's an easy track to screw up on. I did that really a lot of times during the week, trying to figure out what's my breaking point. So I just try to back up the corners as much as I could and let it roll, and didn't not use a lot of throttle, and it really helped on the long run. I think I had the best set of tires I had all week. Even with the cooler temperature, it seemed like I just had a lot of drive off, which is typically what you mess up here.
So 7 races to go after we leave here. You now have 2 wins, but you need to get into the top 20 in order to use those wins. 52 points in between yourself and that cut line when you factor in the drops coming in to this evening's racing action. So what's your thoughts on that point situation, and what you have to do in the next 7 races to get up into the cut line and get it up into the top 20?
I really just have mistake-free races. I think I have enough speed to kind of run with them, but top 10s are really the goal, just so I can just, go in on those points. I know it was 53. Be curious to see where I am after this, but realistically, I just need to have good races that are clean, and I should have pretty good finishing spots. But it's easier said than done a lot of times. I know Pocono, the first race, I got wrecked really early, and so it was just kind of like one of those things. It's you think you can do good, and it's just really just staying out of all the trouble. So I feel good about it. I don't know what track is next. So I'm guessing it's Atlanta, so that should be interesting. A lot of people have speed, plus the draft and all that fun stuff, and the aero push should be interesting. But I feel like, again, top 10s, and then once we get ourselves in the playoffs, then kind of pick up the pace a little bit.
And I mean, one of those in the cut line is Richard Beasley. Didn't have a great night tonight, so you should be able to at least catch the 10 car after tonight.
Yeah, we're not too concerned about Bees. I know road courses aren't his thing, and I don't think he lasted too long tonight. But the packages that the Cup car have are pretty much in his hands in terms of being able to keep up and make some good points. But I feel like if it was a clean race and no yellows to bunch us all up, I think I can get them. But realistically, like I said, it's just top 10s and just really not wrecking. So as long as I can do that and not be too impatient, then I think we can give ourselves a shot at making that playoff run.
I know you got a lot of partners on this race car. Who makes it happen for you?
So I'll take the team: Adam, Dylan, Daniel, Jackson, Timmy. Blake. I know we have Colton. We have some. We have a Road to Pro race this week at Knoxville in the trucks, which should be super interesting. And then we go to some better tracks for us. But those guys are doing a hell of a job trying to get prepared for that. Tim's Corner, I got that on the car. Outrun, Team Associated, J Concepts, BC Workshop, and of course everyone Transervice who puts on the broadcast. Appreciate you guys doing this. I know it's not easy, so can't wait to go back and watch it and see how it looked.
Win number 2 on the season. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
That's Kevin King, a second road course win here this season, Kevin, and we move on with 7 races to go before we hit that playoff start, and it's going to be exciting. We're going to see some drivers, I think, miss out on a couple of races and some points come into play. This is going to be a fun 7-race stretch.
Yeah, no doubt. And I could imagine looking at the prediction, I think Kevin's got it. He just needs to show up and do what he's been doing, and he'll be locked in. And we head to Phoenix next week, race number 20, July 12th, and turn it over to Paul. We've got plenty of racing going on here at Verdane.
Absolutely. Going to take a quick peek here at the weekly schedule here for Verdane TV this Wednesday, back for episode number, it seems like 320 of Tim's Corner Live, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Tim, have we got a lineup yet?
Yeah, we're actually working on the lineup here this week. It seems like those guys from Oyster Bed that raced on the weekend are busy working on their race cars, and none of them want to join us on Wednesday night. So we're trying to get one of their winners lined up. We'll have Neil Muse, and we'll also have Tyler Hawes lined up with the Hot Rod Classic. So it's going to be a fun night of racing or bench racing per se on Wednesday.
Always a good time taking a listen and a watch to some of Maritime Canada's best and quickest racers, and a couple more off weeks here for the Fatheads Cup Series group. New name, new brand, the Luke's Lugs Racing League. They're going to be running at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, starting the final week, or the last week of July 28th. They're going to be starting their next season, and then the Multi-League Cup Series coming back here Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and Friday, always up at Stafford Motor Speedway, but it looks like rain once again this week, so we'll see what the weather does here Friday. Lots of stuff coming up here for the Winter Series. Coming up, NEPS is coming back. East Coast Winter League, they're coming back, and a couple of other leagues that are penciled in to have some online racing once the snow starts to fly. Tim's Corner Motorsports Special Events coming back, getting ready to qualify in for next year's All-Star Showcase. Really looking forward to that as well, and potentially a big race in the works here. Something Bottle Rocket 250 coming up later on this year, brought to you by Verdane TV. Still in the planning stages for that. We're looking for a lot of partners and advertising partners and sponsors for that as well. So if you're interested, shoot us a DM, give us a shout out on social media, all the different outlets, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. Strictly 94 on TikTok. We finally opened up one of those, and not much racing content on there. It's pretty much just me drinking beer, because that's what I'm really, really good at. Verdane TV always reminds you to drink responsibly. But that's going to do it here for us tonight. Road America in the books. On to Phoenix next week for the Transervice Cup Series, brought to you by SIM500. From everybody from Transervice, from the SIM500 group, for Verdane TV, Kevin England, Tim Terry, my name is Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. We will catch you on the flip side. When we do, we're going to be doing it live.